wedding weekends or wedding weekenders have always been a thing. And one thing I noticed in not just 2024, but as time goes, we're starting to see more and more of it. And this idea or this trend will make weddings even more expensive. But guess what? This is not new. Lots of regions or culture, wedding culture is just in the West. I think they are embracing it now in the West. But if you're considering Nigerian weddings, Asian weddings in the Middle East, long wedding celebrations, wedding weekends or wedding weekenders have always been a thing. Hello and welcome to Lonnie Tanner's Weddings. This is a wedding channel. I'm your, can I say host? Yes, I'm your host, truly. And all we do here is have wedding conversations. So if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss, leave in the comment section. This is part 3 of the 2024 wedding trend series. We're talking about everything we've seen so far in 2024. In part 1, I talked about the engagement and wedding ring styles. In part 2, I spoke about wedding newspapers. And now it's part 3, we're talking about long wedding celebrations, wedding weekends and weekenders. Why are we having more wedding celebrations, more wedding events? So basically before it used to be bridal shower, bachelorette or bachelor's party, then the event and you wrap it up. But now we are seeing people stretch, especially destination weddings. It has always been this way for destination weddings also, not only multicultural weddings like Nigerian weddings and all that weddings. So let me give you an example. Typical Nigerian wedding, an average Nigerian wedding has more than one event. And I'm not talking about bridal shower or anything. When a Nigerian wants to get married, it starts with the wedding introduction. Then they proceed to have like their legal ceremony, which is a civil wedding ceremony. Then they have the Nigerian traditional wedding. And what Nigerian traditional wedding is about is the rights and traditions of the tribe the bride or groom comes from. So the event honors like the place of origin of the bride and groom. So events like this are more than one day. Something, especially in the north, which is the Fulanis or the Hausa, their wedding events are not just, they line up their events, different ceremonies done here and there. So it's no longer a one-day celebration. It's sometimes a whole week of celebrations. There's also the religious ceremony. Lots and lots of Nigerians have religious ceremony. If you're a Muslim, a Christian, there is a religious ceremony to be done. So, and a popular way of doing this is Nigerians usually stretch it like Friday. Sometimes they do the civil ceremony on a Thursday, do the traditional ceremony on a Friday, and the religious ceremony on Saturdays. Sometimes with the religious ceremony, some people do wedding Thanksgiving in different religious organizations. So wedding weekenders or long wedding celebrations are not new in most parts of the world, is what I'm trying to say. But how come they are going to the West? How come the West is embracing this celebration idea? If you had a long wedding celebration, if it was a big wedding, a small wedding, micro wedding, just tell me in the comment section. If you just find like under the category of having a long wedding celebration, let me know. In my opinion, I think what's influencing this in the Western world is guest experience. I think people are just tired of having a one-day event and like, oh, let's wrap it up. I think people want to stretch it, are trying to stretch and have more like, who don't want to be part of the celebration? Celebrations are great. There's great food, there's music, there's dancing, there's socialization, connecting with all much more longer now. We have longer days of celebrations. I think that's what I'll give it to. But if you're watching this video and you had a long wedding celebration, why did you decide to do it? Why did you have a multiple celebration? Because this is something we're seeing more of. But in my opinion, I think better guest experience is a key factor to consider when we're talking about long wedding celebrations. When I was thinking about this idea, another funny thing that crossed my mind, I was like, and I remember in COVID when we were talking about how we'll see more micro weddings post-COVID. Like, we're like, oh. So in COVID, weddings got cancelled. As we all said, wedding experts, enthusiasts like myself, the industry, we all agree that we think this would be a huge influence on wedding culture. So micro weddings were at a peak in 2020, and we thought we'll get to see more and more small. No, that's not what's happening. We were wrong. In my opinion, I don't know if I should call it when we talk about micro versus large wedding ceremonies, it's a 50-50. I don't know, I don't have data to prove this, but somehow I think it's a 50 now. It's more like you have this choice and you have this choice to do what you want to do. My point is, I'm actually surprised how we're seeing more wedding celebrations like long wedding weekenders and micro weddings side by side, because the predictions were more micro weddings, but that's not happening. People want to socialize more. And like I said, I'll give the wedding weekenders or give credit to guest experience. People just want their guests to experience more. People want to have more experiences. I think that's what's leading this thing, refueling the long wedding weekends. People don't just want to go to your wedding for a day. They want to have a long experience. And couples like to see that, oh, our friends and loved ones can be with us more than just one day. And that is it. But speaking of long wedding weekends, and this is also associated with destination wedding, what will the wedding guest expenses be? I came across a video on TikTok where a lady talked about how they had a destination wedding and she and her partner had to just cover food and accommodation. And I actually like that idea. I love the idea so much. I even like to comment saying, yes, I've been talking about how weddings are expensive for them. So for a couple to provide accommodation, a destination wedding accommodation and food, that is good. That's a really good guest experience because ideally guests usually cover their expenses. And but my point is, in as much as couples will prefer as time goes by, they want multiple celebration and long weekends, cost of wedding expenses is something to consider. Yeah, it's an important factor to consider. So, but what do you think? Did you have a long weekend? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. And how far do you think this trend will go? How far do you think this trend will go? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Like I said, this is part 3 of the 2024 Wedding Trend series. In my next video, I'll be talking about rainbow bridesmaids. What are rainbow bridesmaids? So, see you in my next video.